Welcome back to Shanghai and our continuing coverage of the mid-season Invitational. We're headed into Game 4, where Counterlogic Gaming is at match point, and the Flash Wolves need a win to stay alive. So, gentlemen, when their backs are against the wall, they need to extend it to Game 5. How do Flash Wolves do that?
I think they have to try to find some kind of engaging mechanics. If they had the Alistar, they would go behind turrets and they could win the games easier. Right now, they have these big leads, but they're not sure how to close them out. And I think they just need something to, like, crack open the turrets.
And for me, when I looked at this match, I actually looked at like a lot of things, but I actually think on Flash Wolves, if they were in a blind pick game, are the superior team because their decisiveness when they get the champions they like is very, very strong. In saying that, however, CLG has shown consistently that they can get pick ban phases right. I mean, they made a slip up, in my opinion, in Game 2, but they bounced back in Game 3. They're able to nail their draft and get some very clear win conditions there. So I just think that Flash Wolves need to really go back to basics, pick like an overpowering brute force comp and just see, once again, if they can, as we said, run at them and see if they can make magic happen.
Because they need some way of getting the momentum back. Like looking at that last game, seeing how CLG lost Game 2 by getting snowballed, pull out Sona, get snowballed again, like it actually felt like Flash Wolves was going to 3-1 CLG.
Right.
But then mid-game, having Flash Wolves lose a 5,000 gold lead against CLG and now being one game from elimination, like that is such an incredible momentum swing. I cannot emphasize enough that I think CLG has a large chance to just win this game on mentality alone.
And let's talk about where the momentum swing came from, because this is Casa. I mean, this is one of their go-to players that they expect to be able to get ahead and transfer leads, and all of a sudden it was actually Casa making the mistake. So I think this weighs on Flash Wolves' mentality even further. He was late on a couple on one ultimate, then he was early on a couple more and just wasn't able to translate his gold lead. So I think that it's not just about losing a game, right? It's about how you lose the game and the rapid pace in which that fell away.
Now, we've talked a little bit about engage for Flash Wolves. Unfortunately, Alistar's been banned this entire time. So let's talk about some champions that haven't been banned. They've seen a lot of play, both the Kindred and the Rise, because they seem to both be gaining priority in the sense that Karsa has now performed very well on that champion twice, barring the few mishaps, but he's established those early leads, and the Rise has won all 3 games. So how do we expect these teams to trade and or pick ban them away from the other?
I think Rise is going to be first picked and less banned by Flash Wolves, so Flash Wolves can't rely on that as initiation. I do think they should probably prioritize Echo and maybe let something like Bard go through, or just pick Braum, right? Like Echo Braum is respectable engage, and I think that's the kind of stuff they need to go for.
And let's talk about like why Rise is so important. It's because he can open up the map in 1-3-1, but is as equally as good in team fights. So it gives you more options with how to play the game. You're not picking yourself into a linear comp. Did I mention like at level 9, he's one of the most powerful champions in the game and is really tanky and annoying as a heck to deal with. So I just think giving it to Huhi is almost saying to, in my opinion, a weaker player, here is a get out of jail free card. A champion that is strong early on in the game that you can make any choice with, and it's probably going to be good.
It equalizes the matchup, which is so critical. And when Maple had it, he went 6-0 at the start of the game.
Yeah, on the flip side, like the weakness of Azir is that he has to stay mid most of the time. If you get Rise in the jungle with a superior jungle, it's so hard to play against that. And maybe Flash Wolves will be looking to take that away if CLG don't.
All right, well, some pick ban stuff as well as some in-game suggestions from our analysts. We're going to head back over to the caster desk for the play-by-play. As we go, Darshan talks about his team's best of 5 fortitude.
Personally, I feel that we, CLG as a team, have an advantage in best of 5. Coming up through the playoffs, we went to 2 best of 5 games, game 5 all the way, and I didn't really feel like we tilted. I didn't really feel like we broke down under pressure, so I feel like we're probably one of the best North American teams, not only internationally, but also under pressure. So I feel like best of 5s, if anything, is where we thrive.
I think that it's a really good point he illustrates from the last game. A big part of the reason they were able to take that game was their poise later. Yep. They're calling in the mid game, they're calling late game, and their execution in those team fights.
Understanding stamina coming into a game, even on days off, is huge, but understanding that stamina you can use in a best-of-5 series can really catapult you ahead of the other team. Like you said, if you ever get into that tilt factor or that factor where you're just more tired.
That's where I'm catching up right now. 2 NA casters very well versed in the best-of-5 going full games.
We are back into Champion Select. It is game point for North America's Counterlogic Gaming as the LMS's Flash Wolves look to keep themselves alive here. One more win will bring us to 5 in this semifinal series, and we're into Champion Select number 4.
Yeah, Clement mentioned, it'd be great if they can get some more dive tools, Alistar to get behind turrets. been banned every game. I don't expect it to come off the ban list.
So far, 5 bans the same, 6 bans the same. Traded slightly differently in one of the games, but that's about it.
The bans are mirroring what we've been saying. It's been more about play, so much more about play.
It's also the rise here. Teams have not found answers to him in team fights. The desperate engages from Maple were very telling. And I think in the analysis and a lot of approach here to CLG coming back, we can't forget that Flash Wolves had a very easy finish to that game. Maybe we can talk about variance in the direction that they maybe should have not gotten that far ahead, but they had plenty of gameplay patterns to close out the game. They had an easy bait on the Baron that they just neglected to do, and they're refusing to play towards their win conditions.
Yeah,
that
was
is what the biggest thing.
They had
CLG
the
combat was
dream
nice.
start for Flash Wolves last game. Dream start. Karsa goes off. He controls the entire map. Basically, they have all doors open to them.
Close them one by one.
CLG close each one. With Sona, baby.
Can't wait for that 5th pick Sona.
It'll be very interesting to see that Sona counter once again.
I think Sorda's going to steal it. He has to at this point.
If things go as they have been.
It's actually good against Rise. Like, without trolling too much, Echo Sona isn't the worst against the Rise. That's about as far as I'll go.
Don't want to delve any more into it. Echo Kindred picked up on the side of LMS. Karsa
Can't argue with it.
havoc. Great first pickups.
That's the thing. We've all spent so long on 6.8. We're getting kind of bored with the meta and with these traded picks.
Speak for yourself, Kobe. I find it very fascinating to have 3 champions in every role.
Oh, MMD. Not on the Poppy this time. Obviously has the Echo, but is it something they won already?
I mean, if this series has shown anything, it is that Echo will win that matchup early. MMD wants confidence. The strongest first pick. We also seen that the Steel Ezreal impacts NL pretty hard. So we're learning a lot in this series where we have 5 boot-sized games in a row for CLG.
So I want to see. So Flash Wolves, when they had the weaker side of the matchup, they did a good job of getting MMD through that stage and not letting him get punished in the Echo versus Poppy by either lane swap or by heavy ganking. I want to see if they can do the reverse and actually work with a winning lane, work with that Echo, try and utilize that pressure to their advantage.
Now they need to lock in their AD carry, and that will highly influence their support. They could also go for a teamfight heavy oriented composition if they just go for a Braum here and say, you know what, we're just going to make Rise and Ezreal's lives living hell in teamfights, blocking all these projectiles. But they're so reliant on not losing the lane that they keep opting in for this range support. This Karma yet again very heavily oriented towards poke in build, but not play towards it. Early Frost Screen Rush, early Q-Max from Sword Art, but then, not play towards that poke whatsoever. Had a rank 1 shield in teamfights, that was it. That was his contribution. It's like, okay, shield done. Whereas Sona,
job done, easy.
Job's done.
Sivir still there in the pickup for LMS if they want to go for it.
I like that.
What's up?
Took me a while to remember where that was from.
Oh, wow. Really? Come on. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. Stixay always hovering his favorite long-lost champion. He used the main in the early years. What is it going to be? Oh, Nasus, the volley. All these are tribute to Xmithy.
I mean,
his old day junglers. Sona could be that pickup there. Looks like the Caitlyn may just be the, or not the Caitlyn, sorry.
So, Crepo, have your views on Sona been changed, or is the hatred still there? Does it still burn within you?
It burns with a heavy passion, but I mean, if my opposing support locks in Karma early, then all bets are off. All cards are on the table. If he's gonna play that champion, then it's fine. Especially when the Zir dashes in reactionary against a Kindred, I can see it.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to hear you continue in your hate train of Sona, the one wrinkle here of switching over to the Nidalee, which I was very curious about because Smithy is a good Nidalee. He loves this champion, but the team doesn't often prioritize it that high. They let it go through in the rounds of the draft. And I want to see, because they felt the pain of the early game Kindred last game, how are they going to play around this Nidalee if they're going to try and press up? Because it's so hard when this time around you've got the Poppy into Echo matchup. We'll see if they go for the lane swap this time around.
Personally, I would like to see them take standard lanes, use the minor clear advantage Nidalee has, or at least the fact that she can actually gank in Azir, because you can combine Snare and Spear, you can combine CC in the top lane with the damage from Nidalee to maybe propel top side of the map ahead, and the bot lane is very self-sustaining. Ezreal on his own can generally 1v2 farm in a lot of lanes. With Sona, I think he will be more than fine if he plays a little smart. The first 3 levels are rough. That's where the poke really hurts. But once he gets his tier, he should be able to play on his own without falling too far behind.
All right, the game is about to go live. You know what to do. Tweet at LOL Esports with your series picks. Update them, change them, or keep them the same. Hashtag CLG win or hashtag FW win to at LOL Esports. We'll tally those up throughout the game. We are going into what could be game point, what could pit SK Telecom T1 from the LCK in Korea to North America's Counter Logic Gaming. Flash Wolves still have a chance to keep themselves in and the LMS region, and it's going to have to happen in this game. We are on the Rift for Game 4 of Counter Logic Gaming versus Flash Wolves.
To revisit and pick up where Crepo left off there, as the junglers load in, your first thing is to evaluate each lane. Is it a volatile lane, or is it going to be one of those range farming, full health lanes that are not going to attract attention?
That obviously then influences your start, maybe who needs to leash, even your lane assignments. This time you don't need to press tab to see who's playing those champions, because that's in solo queue, that's obviously an influence. But luckily these teams trust each other.
Yeah,
Teamwork.
and so if we do have standard lanes and we go down them and we evaluate each one, obviously top is going to be heavy trading. However, top lane, you only go there and consider it a target or an opportunity for your opponent if they are opting into those trades and they start getting low health, because each of those guys at full health before trading, at most you get a summoner out of it.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of Nidalee though, especially when you combine it with the knowledge that Echo is always going to try and push in Poppy early to get that advantage in lane. Nidalee can then pounce over Dragon Wall or Baron Wall to find some openings, bypass some wards. It does seem that we are wasting our time talking about these standard lanes because we're approaching a lane spot.
Yes, we are. Smithy setting up traps, though, across these camp just in case. Speed clear.
As the map opens up later on in this lane swap, though, Flash Wolves have very much so quicker rotations with the Sivir ulti, the Mantra E that they can cast, but it loses them a lot of strength in teamfights, so we can't understate the value that Crescendo versus what Karma brings in these teamfights.
Yeah, I think something that's SKT also showed a bunch of times with their use of Sivir, and it really stems from a lot of the pink wards that you can move up into the river. You can make those surprise plays as well. It looks like both junglers clearing out opposite red quadrants, and it's going to be a pretty standard start for both sides.
The only thing that's changed really in this tournament is that junglers are no longer, like top laners are very confidently moving to their lanes and then later rejoining the enemy jungle or their allied junglers to go for the double jungle. Right now even MMD's moving back from the top lane too.
Yeah, actually, only one camp for Karsa there. Ooh, it does steal away the small one, which is a pretty good portion of it. But Aframu making the early visit mid lane. He's got Ignite.
It's not a Thresh, but it is the Sona. Aframu gets the exhaust. He's going to have to flash forward and power chord this. He's going to take one turret shot. He's dead. He gets it. Aframu's going to go down valiantly for first blood.
So not worth it. You got first blood on your support. You donate a kill. The guy already flashed, but it looked so beautiful.
Whether he's on Thresh, Morgana, or even like the lowest CC 1 through 5 champion, he's still going to go for that
Also, though, Maple's not running a teleport. Remember, this is the mid laner who's going to have to walk back to lane, so you also deny the
walk
way.
of shame.
Walk of shame.
Exactly, walk of shame here for Maple.
Should have been ready.
You just got killed by Sona.
Yeah, you should have been ready for the level 2 Sona roam, and this is why some adaptation that these teams have been doing here. Look at it. Yeah, the exhaust just comes in late. Aframu gets all of his damage off. Exhaust is useless, and then he's calculating. Yeah. Auto plus Q equals shame.
I want a mic check on that one. I'm going for it. I'm doing it.
Camping Darshan again. This is something that worked for them earlier. Here comes the teleport to protect, though, and Darshan might die anyway.
Looks like he may get out. No, the final hit from Karsa comes in. MMD squeaks his way out, and Huhi may be left chasing on this. Maple just lost both summoners in mid, and now he gets a bit of free time.
More shame. Darshan this time. Walk away. Step away from the play. You don't have to always min-max here. Safety is important.
That was huge for Flash Wolves. Yeah. Karsa once again finds himself a kill on Kindred early.
And that buys a lot of time here for Maple to equalize that mid lane, because Huhi, not only does he lose experience, he lost his teleport, so any advantage that he could get in that lane, nullify now. MMD taking a lot of minion aggro here.
Incredibly smart by Flash Wolves to swap these back. The standard lanes favored them last time, and CLG still thrown off here. Maple gets back to lane. He's still able to go hard here on Huhi.
Yeah, Hui using his teleport bottom takes a big part of the advantage he had in this lane. That was a free base for him.
Map been divided. Karsa's in base right now. Smithy setting up for potential dive. Ooh, alerts MMD of his presence.
Are they going to get the wall stun into Spear?
Nope.
No.
Yes. He was stunned.
Darshan needs to break that tether. Watch the rest of the damage.
Oh, very, very.
Getting kited through the minions. Xmithy loses a bit more health than he would like. And right now, clean farm by Maple in the mid lane as his wave is pushed. Everything here working for Flash Wolves as they avoid a gank in the bot lane.
It's a very weird wall stun there from Darshan. Quite surprised it actually procced.
Yeah, I think what you do there is actually, as Smithy, instead of throwing out the early fishing spear, hold it. If you know you're going to go for that dive, just wait for the wall stun, walk up point blank to land and get that extra amount of damage. Hui in the mid lane is going to be the next target, though.
Shield up, Rune Prison's down, but they won't have the chase straight across the map. Hui knows he has guard and vision to the bot side coming from Xmithy.
Yeah, it could have been a bigger turn there if Hui walked up and we waited potentially for the snare there. Smithy very early on his spears here. Both mid and bot lane.
It's been mostly the Kindred in his hands for these past games, or that Graves seems to be a few clicks off on the Nidalee.
He just got
and it's going to be clicks on by Karsa as he picks up another one.
That's where you walk over and you kind of like, you just walk on a corpse. Give him the teabag.
Oh, Karsa starting off another game, and now it's up to Flash Wolves this game to keep this lead, to not get lackadaisical once they find it, and allow CLG to adapt, to allow Hui back to the side lanes. We'll see how Karsa can keep the pressure with the rest of the team this time.
At this point, CLG need to realize it's not as bad as last game. They're having flashbacks already. Oh my God, this Kindred's going off. They start to panic. You need to remain focused. That poise that we saw last game, they need to have that here, only much earlier. You know, CLG, their motto this tournament has been the respect all, fear none, but their motto a couple of years ago was clear calls, good plans, or some iteration of that. But Darshan goes for it.
Oh, one final hit!
Their new motto is dive turrets, don't care if I die.
Yeah, they had to map the plays and play the map. A couple of years ago, that was the mantra. Which is a great solo queue.
That was the Dignitas special, Cutie Pie.
Oh, deep. Oh, guys, you're hitting all the right spots.
Classic NA game plans. We're going back through the pages of history here, trying to find what is the answer for North America here at MSI. How deep do we need to go?
Very prolific
Are the
strategies.
dongers being raised?
Well, right now, they're quite lowered. Flash Wolves, not a gold lead, but a map lead, a kill lead. They're looking to be able to continuously strangle down with Karsa's lead here. It's a level 6 Xmithy, level 5 Karsa, but he still has to be afraid.
Running away.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Running away from somebody with a level advantage on you, like, or disadvantage, that feels like it's not supposed to be like that.
What's it feel like, Crepo?
As in Italy as well.
Yeah, I have the strongest early game jungler in the game in terms of clearing speed. Let me just... Nope, not fighting you.
Yeah.
You can tell. We talk a lot about the mental state of players in this game, and Karsa right now is absolutely riding high. He feels like he can do anything, and if you have that mentality, you know, it's the thing, you know, fake it till you make it. Just believe that it is true, even though he hadn't gone back and purchased.
I like it.
It's my approach in casting.
Yeah.
If I'm here long enough to actually believe I'm...
Honestly, though, he doesn't have to fake it. He has 2 kills, so
yeah.
There's that.
Fake it till you make it, and then keep doing the same thing. Karsa stepped up, though, because in games 1 and 2, he was invisible. He locked in that Elise game 1 and did not get any ganks off whatsoever.
His Kindred has been outstanding.
Yeah. And they kind of didn't pick that game 1. I'm sure that some of them are thinking, like, what if we just picked it game 1? Because they had the option. They went for the early Azir there. Throughout the entirety of the series, Flashers have been afraid of a second boost side rotation Azir if Ryze was locked in early. But this time, they actually went for the good picks here. They got the highest value top laner, the highest value jungler for their team.
Yep. Seemed like coming into this tournament from the spring split for the Flash Wolves had, they were almost at a sit-back position, see what all the other regions are bringing to the table, and it wasn't their style. Going more aggressive, finding their own fights and not waiting for a mistake really starts to put them in the lead and really gives them an edge. Like you guys were saying, that confidence to continue going. Karsa's bringing that to the team right now. Darshan helping out in those solo lanes. Got that bottom lane started off 47 to 48. Went 1-2 there as he did go down in his last kill.
The focus here for Flash Wolves and Sword Art on getting this deep vision on the top side of the map for themselves. setting themselves up for a possible play.
Just the advantage of having the push control. You know, push wave, leave the lane, potentially roll mid. If somebody reacts, you back off and go for the vision anyways. If they don't react, they likely don't have wards, so you get to pry away. A couple of stabs, maybe one of them hit.
Meanwhile, Stixay is just fine getting pressed in. All they're looking for is last hitting at turret. He's stacking up. Aframu's getting his sights on as well. At least CLG trying to get defensive vision back at the moment. They've actually been able to kill 2 pink wards up on that top side as well. Meanwhile, jungler focus has been opposite here.
Ward Wars continues.
Ward Wars plus, you know, the extra gold there for the Spell Thieves procs. Who can get the... Oh, cashing in, baby.
Stixay's farming.
Well, there was a fight.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, there was a fight for that ward. There are some pretty deep wards still placed by Flash Wolves if they want to try to get something going on the top side here. Karsa back towards the mid lane. Maple and Huhi kind of standing side by side there. Usually means an Azir wants to start getting a fight going once they take that position, and Huhi recognizes, clears his wave, and gets out of danger.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried for Huhi. You know, in the last game, the teleport, he had to use it reactively to try and stay the side lane, and Maple punished him for it. This time, he also had to burn it to try and save a side lane. Smithy, though, working up on top, zoning them off a wave and trading this for Dragon. I wonder if it's going to be worth here for CLG if they actually are able to zone them off this turret.
It is if MMD kind of bases at one point and CLG can go for the double dive on top lane here. MMD is low. He's playing with a Sheen into a complete defensive item, and generally in the game, offensive items kind of have less benefit as defensive. That's why tanks are so annoying to play against, especially with good base damage.
Yeah, I definitely think I would want to keep tabs on that and see if CLG can capitalize, because I do love trading a first outer turret for early dragons in the state of the game right now, and I think this is huge. Oh, good flash
I love Hui's flashes this game. Absolute respect. No fear, but respect.
See, Hui knows what the pinnacle of Azir looks like. He knows what's possible with this champion. Yeah. It's hard for him to pull it off, as we've seen multiple times, but he respects it, and he's able to make sure his enemies can't pull it off either. Yeah. At the very least. If I can't do it, you can't do it either.
Yep. It's one way to keep him down.
But it's so hard for players with a slightly larger ego to go like, no, let's see if I need to flash here, because you never want to feel like you waste flash. But you feel even worse if you actually wait for the skill shot to hit, and then you have to flash out. And Hui's been on the ball on that one in this series. This is not the first time he's done it, and you have to wonder at what point is Maple just going to give up?
I wouldn't.
Technically, you still trade.
I mean, I was like, I don't know if there is that point.
But does he need to capitalize to get the ball rolling here? Yes, he gets the cooldown advantage, so when his ulti comes up again, he can go for the play, but should they start looking at other lanes?
Karsa not any less active this game, just more warded out. Counterlogic Gaming get much better vision here. A very interesting choice there, baiting Darshan into the fight. Lamb's Respite still available to be used, and it looks like they're going to have to get out real quick on this one.
Yeah, Darshan gets away with a very aggressive move there. Yeah. He even wins the trade 1 versus 4. Has to flash on the outside, but, you know, with just one moment from... Smithy actually going to circle around here. Their recalls are trying to come in for Flash Wolves, but CLG are closing in.
Big.
Spear not to start it off, so he can't mark Sword Art. Now they're on to NL. The spell shield goes down, which means they can mark him. Ooh. A great flash by NL, but it's going to be the mark from McSmithy. The spear lands, and he's able to finalize that kill.
The zoning crescendo, the best one out of all ones.
I had a flashback there, and I was like, oh! But they're able to capitalize, because CLG, as we said, they were closing in. They had so many people trying to capitalize on the previous play from Flash Wolves, where Flash Wolves just showed their whole hand, but now...
Oh, what a beautiful play. That's where they keep going for it. Maple's never going to give up. He locks down Huhi. Aframu's forced to run out of that, and Flash Wolves realizes they can only take so much out of that fight.
Yeah, the long ult from Ezreal there. Stixay thought they were going to continue walking back to base. But again, that's why you don't give up. Maple, second time around,
going back to that discussion, worth it. I yield. I yield supremacy to Kobe. It was very much so worth it. And that's the difference between a team that can follow up on a missed Sona ulti and a team that can't. So, I just never had to experience that myself, and luckily for Aframu, CLG did follow up on a zoning crescendo right there.
Yeah, and it was almost answered once again. Smithy couldn't get into range to heal, but now Hui's closing in.
They are quite spread on this one. They're trying to have NL push bot as fast as possible, but they're not paying attention to the rest of the map. And Counter Logic Gaming start to waltz through the jungle. Now 2v1 on Karsa. Lamb's Respite goes down, but it's only going to favor Counter Logic Gaming. Aframu gets to walk back, and the shutdown of 3 kills goes to Stixay.
I wonder if he actually started that fight with a W
Good
proc.
global gold there.
Because it can reduce damage too. Third aura proc from Sona. Something that's very invisible in a lot of fights. People don't really take into account.
Once again, CLG, though, clawing ahead as far as the skirmishes go. They do lose out on that first turret for Flash Wolves going down on the bottom side, but very happy to come away with the extra kill plus jungle camp steals.
But a very chaotic approach of the game here from Flash Wolves. They're playing purely reactionary.
Well, it's such a long chain of events. If we had to go back and look at the origins of why Karsa was deep in this jungle and stealing away that blue, this comes off of such a long chain that started off down bottom. It culminates here with, you know, an Afro Sona quote-unquote bait, and Karsa going for an aggressive move over into his own jungle.
The illustrious face shake bait. Yes, I totally planned this.
Oh man, it's only getting tougher for Flash Wolves here. They are definitely losing their footing now with a 3,000 gold lead in favor of Counter Logic Gaming.
Now, do they have the same poise that CLG had when they were playing from behind?
It's a very good question because it's going to take at least to 25 minutes to weather this storm and figure their way back in. Counter Logic Gaming is not letting up at this point. And it looks like Flash Wolves is going to play this one slowly, moving wards up that they can still protect, something they were lacking the other game and what made them kind of lose their footing. They place wards, but instantly lose that vision.
Yeah, I think the next move here for CLG is to try and retake control of this red quadrant. Remember what happened last time, though? It was Aframu on the Janna.
Yep.
And it is a dangerous thing to do. They had the right idea of moving up, but you have to be a little bit more safe because Flash Wolves still control this area. This is their territory.
Also playing towards this dragon again. Flash Wolves. Same page repeats itself many times in the playbook.
Yep. Afro not going to face check this time around, though. And CLG will slowly move in to reestablish some vision on their red jungle quadrant.
Quite a bit of gold Maple would be fighting with if CLG were able to actually start anything off here. He's got about 1,400 gold in his pocket, which would be a very nice upgrade item for him to keep going with these fights. The Nashers is finished. That's a lot of power to be sitting on your back or sitting back with.
Coming in from Darshan too.
Forward. That didn't call out the Emperor's Divide just yet, and there's that teleport you called from, Crepo. Darshan is right in the middle. They're trying to finalize it, and Maple's the first one to fall. That exhaust is down, and his flash was, and that's why he's on the ground. 7-5 here as CLG continue to take hold of this game. Stixay by himself, all the way too far forward, and looks like he's going to get some saving grace from the rest of the team as they follow up quickly.
Yeah, but Flash Wolves can't counter that. They can't make a punish here. CLG already have so much momentum after those first 2 kills. Great flank from them, collapsing from all sides. And Aframu with another flash crescendo on 2 key members.
Yeah, 2 key members, but the play got started again by Karsa, just getting a little overeager. Flash Wolves had complete vision control in one area. They got tired of waiting, and right as the dragon's about to spawn, Karsa goes in for an invade on enemy Raptors, completely against all logic here. And then Darshan walks to the mid lane. He did actually not even have to use his teleport, just gently stroll down from the top lane. What is Karsa doing here? Because even if he gets out, has to go over the wall, and then Darshan just comes in, swings from the backside, no overview, and then the beautiful punish from Aframu.
Yeah, Maple gets locked up, Karsa's ultimate gets popped, Darshan goes for the flash to follow here.
And NL is not even close to the fight.
No.
On the hunt still available.
Yeah, it's actually so hard at this point since it's a double item blue Ezreal. As Sivir, you're so scared of this. You can't join the fights. Stixay's got the inside track, and he can fend you off, make sure that CLG are going to continue to have that pressure advantage from the bottom side. That's what tacks on to your point about Karsa going for this in the first place. It makes it that much more dangerous. Your side lanes can't join.
Yeah.
MMD has the outside track. Darshan can get there first. Bottom lane as well for CLG will arrive first, and CLG make them pay for it. He's starting it off with that flash.
Yeah, and that's the lack of communication. They make very snap split-second decisions, but they're not really communicating with the team. Even if you spell shield anything from Stixay in that exchange, he can simply just flash the boomerang once, and that's game over. Afro now getting picked off.
It's going to be safe to let him go down without trying to get anything back onto that. Stixay is just above, but it looks like it's not in a good spot. I'm either going to back or just walk away here. Alpha move up in 20 seconds. Flash Wolves, if they can keep doing this, they may start to drop these outer turrets.
That's a good pick. It earns them the mid. Oh, it does not. CLG.
Here's a teleport that we're waiting on.
See ya.
Darshan coming in from behind. This isn't even on home guards. They just have the wards in the right spot to continue making this happen. The ones they're leaving, those breadcrumb wards after the fights are paying off huge.
And this is something that you see from great teams. You have to take... well, so, yeah.
Facing adversity.
Well, so here's the thing. You have to not just look at the numbers, right? You have to use...
Yep.
Think about what Flash Wolves used for that pick. It was a flash ult from Maple for the pick on the Sona. Yes, that's great. You get a small numbers advantage, but that means the Azir is now exposed. And you can try and make a counter move here. Good flank by Darshan once again. Darshan on this Poppy, constant flanks from him, comes in from behind, and Maple has nowhere to go.
Yep, no overview. Tunneling on the next objective. Trying to make 1 win into 2 wins, 3 wins. Instead of taking the small advantages and stalling the game out. Plenty of scaling on the side of Flash Wolves too. They don't have to be that afraid of CLG, but obviously their support will fall off heavily later on. And because they're not controlling the side lanes in terms of inside-outside track pressure, the movement speed steroids that they have in Sivir and Karma can't be really put to use.
And Stixay going for the NL Classic there, trying to get a miracle steal away on the blue.
Good play if it works. Absolute waste if it doesn't.
God play if it works. And a meh if it doesn't.
Try. We'll see if CLG can hold the lead. The question is can Flash Wolves do the same thing Counter Logic did last game? Hold off until you have the time to make the right moves. We're still waiting on that, seeing where the wards have been placed by Flash Wolves now. They're only getting pushed back into their side of the jungle. It's getting much, much tougher to make any of these plays. And even speculation on that last one, Maple came back with a needlessly large rod and said, we need to get kills back. And they're almost forcing themselves into those instances now.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. They need to try and take this last outer turret here on the, or second to last outer turret on the top side, and then run away because well, they need to rely on their wave clear. They've got Sivir and Azir. It's very good, for huddling and playing that. Well, they did not run away.
Wait, Hui just manned up.
Hui actually
killed the enemy
just
support.
1-3.
Karsa there. And obviously CLG is going to say, thank you very much. We'll take control of the bot side.
And everyone's dying for Flash Wolves off camera. Stixay is able to go.
Onto Azir.
Flash crescendo.
Bah! The beauty. Sona is such a strong champion.
So fast we couldn't even see it.
Yeah, I don't know why Sona wasn't picked before, because clearly the best range support, and as we all know, range support is supreme.
Everybody's trying to catch up to the NA support meta. Afro move.
And NA meanwhile is just ahead, ahead of the curve, ahead of the play.
Oh man, going for the mid turret now, 130 on that dragon, and CLG don't even have eyes to turn around right now. They're looking to keep these waves slightly pushed. Bottom wave is pushing in nicely, and Darshan's already there, taking down MMD. Xmithie may just make his way around the side, but they'll play it safe, and they'll play it for the turret damage.
All right, so CLG are going to continue and look like they want to finish this siege on the turret, but to return to your previous discussion, Riv, of looking at what Flash Wolves can do to try and hold on to this, they've actually made a lot of mistakes in overextending and allowing Darshan to get these flanks that really CLG heavily rely upon. Talked about the overstepping their bounds a couple times.
I mean, I want to know how Hui managed to 1v3 kill the enemy support.
That's probably a bigger question. But yes, Flash Wolves now trying to huddle with their wave clear. They have the Sivir, they have the Azir, Kindred as well. All good scaling for them. Really, the Karma is the one that doesn't. But let's take a look at this Hui play.
Unseen Rise.
Did that answer your questions? Was it 3 spells, maybe 4 spells there from Rise? Pow! Fog of War, baby.
Oh, look at that. Press this flash.
Wait, it wasn't a flash?
Yes,
oh,
it was.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It just went so quick.
Yeah.
Surprised even the best of us.
Well, it's definitely surprising Flash Wolves. They are being taken out left and right without really having a chance to get anything back, and that means it's only going to get harder to find their way back in this game. Look at about 8,000 down right now. CLG looking at the objectives quite easily, can get Rift Herald pretty much whenever they want and have levels up here as they continue the game 24 minutes in.
And it feels bad, it kind of sucks if you're in Flash Wolves' position and you have to look at the game from that perspective. But I mean, even though Azir may not look like a turtle, you got a turtle at that point.
All right.
We'll
buy it. I buy it.
And even though
are you saying he looks like a turtle? Huh?
And even though Sivir also does not look like a turtle, you also have to turtle in
You
this
have
position.
to.
I mean, you just can't argue with that, right?
You're right.
Well presented argument.
I mean, does she look like a turtle? Zoom in. No.
Wait, Kindred.
No,
Kindred
does
You
not.
gotta check.
Not Kindred. Sorry, I was thinking.
No.
Not a turtle. We'll see. So what does that make CLG, Kobe? Do you have any?
A bald eagle, of course, Rick.
Oh, there you go. I don't even know why I had to ask.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Blue buff over to this. That was the sign of a true shot barrage. I don't know what you're listening to. Stealing blue from his own team. Stixay is going to use that to keep pushing down and just harassing Maple as he tries to farm with soldiers. That's not even safe for these guys right now. Chronologic Gaming is just wondering what way they can get into the base at this point with Flash Wolves basically on the iron lung here. It is going to be tough for them to get back in. MMD pushing on the other side, and CLG is getting the 1-3-1 they want already.
Yeah, you can see Flash Wolves, they're trying to play off their true side. They have pink wards in the top side jungle. Maybe they were hoping for some snag here on a CLG member, overextending. CLG not going to give it to them, though.
Yeah.
There they are, the coaching
staff. It was a very scrappy game here. Trial by combat. The Faith chose their champion. CLG looking to prevail.
Poking at Baron here.
Don't throw. That's the only thing
pull in
comes.
Flash Wolves. This is
the one window where Flash Wolves can commit. That's why, but it's an elaborate ruse, a distraction. Because Hui wants to be MVP of this series.
Yeah, people have been giving Hui a lot of flack for all the other champions that he's played, but Ryze is not one of them. Hui's Ryze has been outstanding. And the one worry that I do have, even if CLG can take this game and they move on facing SKT, SKT with Faker have almost an unlimited amount of tools in the mid lane that they can try to pull from to punish that.
If only there was something you could do against champions that are very strong, eliminate from the champion pool, perhaps. Flash Wolves may be regretting that.
All right, are they gonna? Ooh, that's a big cooldown.
He's just playing music for him. That's the hit. Smithy gets the steal. It was also 2 levels up once again, which makes the smite easier. And now they're going to be making their way in for this fight. Lamb's Respite is down, and Karsa looks to follow shortly. CLG has waves pushed up towards, across the river, I should say, on each side, and Baron's ready to go.
A little bit surprised that CLG decided to continue with that and go for, even the small chance that Karsa does go for the steal.
It was the only way to throw the game.
Right.
At this point.
Ends up that it doesn't matter.
Respect all, fear none. They knew they were safe.
TP inside the base. This is going to be Darshan looking for the turret stun, but the minions, they're not moving as fast as they want. They still have a turret to take. He just needed a way in. 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the Baron. That's what they have left here. Looking at the base. Flash Wolves going to try to go for broken mid. MMD has to back off on that one. Home guards are there for them to use, but do they have time to even go back? Inhibitor turrets are falling, and the inhibitors are going to follow very soon.
Yeah, base going to shambles here. CLG had a large lead. On top of that, the Baron don't even need to split 1-3-1. They can be 4-1, 0-5. They can go in any amount of numbers as long as they're around Hui. He's wrecking some kids.
That was hard math to follow.
Yeah. TLDR does not matter. If Ryze equals victory.
Incredibly methodical here once they found their stride. Counterlogic Gaming not giving an inch after they find the lead, and now 28 minutes in, only one inhibitor turret stands tall for Flash Wolves. The Nexus turrets after that are the only ones left on the map.
Flash Wolves, though, they can feel good about what they've accomplished here at MSI. Let's take a look at this. And again, this is a little bit questionable for CLG, but even though there is a chance there, Karsa goes in, he gets ejected. Smithy's able.
I mean, it was the difference of one auto attack.
Yeah, Smithy was able to secure it very, very close there. In the end, though, CLG make it look like it didn't matter, and they're able to chase him off and get the kills afterwards as well. But yeah, Flash Wolves, they can be very proud of what they accomplished at MSI. Their main goal, to get that #1 seed, moving towards Worlds. They were able to do that. And
stole it from Europe. I mean, Europe kind of handed over to them.
Right out of your pockets.
Yeah.
earned from Europe, I would say.
Handed over on a silver vacation platter. Sadly not, but they played well. They surprised. They did incredibly well in the LMS overall. 6-0, convincingly stomped AHQ, their rivals over there. Ever since LMS got made last year. Finally bested them.
A lot of people thought they would see Westor and Chowie once again coming through the mid lane for AHQ, but Flash Wolves, it was Maple, the rest of the team coming up huge. They found it a little bit coming into that game 3, but it seemed to have just fizzled out here.
I mean, same for CLG though, the entire season, despite changing the roster here. Going in for the final team fight.
This is going to be a go for broke. Flash Wolves looking to put everything on the table. He is the man under the Nexus turrets, and he will get shut down. But CounterLogic Gaming has full reign of the base, and they're taking down Flash Wolves. They're looking ahead now to that final day if they can drop the Nexus here. 15-7, coming up on 30 minutes, and they seem to be able to take one Nexus turret. Flash Wolves trying their damnedest to prevent this and stay alive for one last game, but it's not going to happen. SK Telecom T1 will face CounterLogic Gaming at the mid-season Invitational Finals for both teams to get their first chance at the championship win tomorrow.
North America will be represented in a Riot-hosted major finals. Unprecedented here, and CounterLogic Gaming will be able to represent their region with pride.
And even farther than North America, just for the CLG organization, this has to feel good because they had a very troubling time Season 3, losing, I mean, a really good sister team for one, but then also just losing kind of control of the North American market, both for popularity and performance to TSM. And they bested TSM last year, finals. This year in the finals, they go to an international tournament, and for the first time in a very long time, they consistently deliver.
CLG have always had their ups and downs, constantly having to prove themselves over and over again, even more recently this year after the very questionable roster changes in the offseason. Pobelter and Double Lift gone, and CLG, one of their biggest goals was to prove that rebuilding and focusing purely on team was worth it.
And what are the chances that those changes were the ones they could almost lean on the most when it counted at an international tournament?
Huhi's rise, Stixay's overall performance here.
But you got to look at the infrastructure, and I had a chance to talk to some of the men behind
That's a good point.
CLG as well, and what they've put in terms of scheduling, even stuff as just around the team, health, food being made for them healthy every day by a chef. Like every little thing counts here. Focus on this mentality aspect. Aframu as well, fantastic leader, fantastic player, calm, collected shot caller.
Yeah, we always want to point to the new guys and how well, because that's the question mark. But you don't even just have to look at the question marks for the teams coming in. It was always the solid combo of Aframu and Darshan. These guys work so well together. They're able to raise up the rest of the team around them. Aframu is one of the all-time great leaders in League of Legends.
And you can't forget the guy who used to play the Nasus, the Sejuani, to be a base tank, to just come out of the jungle and be something the solo lanes could fight with, is now the guy making plays. Like Smithy has been coming up huge.
He did what many other junglers in the North American LCS couldn't. He survived the memes. And he went on to become a good, strong, independent jungler that need no memes, and he actually delivered. Very underrated in this tournament. Did a lot for CLG, a lot of invisible hidden work, I feel. And just everybody on CLG pulling their weight.
Absolutely incredible game, but an even bigger, daunting task tomorrow to face SK Telecom.
I mean, second place is very nice. Let's not forget that. CLG can be very happy with that.
Even just being in the finals is something that a lot of North American fans, haven't been able to cheer for their region this long in an international event before.
All right, gentlemen. So now to dial in on CLG's fight for the finals, we're going to send it back to our guys at the analyst desk.
And they're over there.
Thank you very much, Rivington. And Crepo already condemning CLG to second place in tomorrow's matchup. I don't know about that one, my friend. I don't know about that one. But 3-1 for CLG. They managed to lock it up in the scoreline that you predicted, Jet.
I actually did predict the 3-1.
You did.
That's
You
great.
got that. You
Yeah,
were unaware of that
perfectly
until I guess
on.
just now.
No,
but-
I was aware of it. I just don't want to trade credit for the 5,000 gold comeback in game 3. Like, knew it the whole time. 3-1.
Absolutely. No, and see, I think that's kind of one of the major things that we'll be able to hit on here in this post game is that this wasn't necessarily the easiest ride for CLG through the semifinals. That game, however, game 4 felt a lot better from that North American squad.
Yeah, it felt better towards the end of the game, but it still didn't start very pretty. In fact, actually going to take a look at the top lane quickly because Darshan overextended like back-to-back games in what were weird matchups, and he was looking very, very aggressive, wanted to punish a younger player in MMD, but wasn't able to really capitalize on it that much. And once again, CLG, like that is an alarm bell. Like if you get pretty much mirror results out of an early game like that due to your top laner going a little bit too ham, it's not a great feeling.
Yeah, and Karsa capitalizing on it again. I mean, if we have to point out a player, and we've already done it a few times, but 4 Flash Wolves that really showed up in today's semifinals, and it's the person we said needed to show up. It was Karsa.
He did for like the first 15 minutes of the game.
Right.
Right? Then he had some really poor team fight and positioning decisions later on. So, like, he was able to capitalize on Darshan being in some really bad positions. But overall, like, I love the way CLG came together as a team and showed it to look like Flash Wolves was a bunch of individuals.
Yeah, I think Flash Wolves there's just a lot of things that they have to improve on. I don't think they have a really cohesive compositions. They've only looked good on like a Rise, Kindred, and Ezreal, but once that was taken away, they don't have a second unit that can go up against these international teams that have a lot of stuff in their bags. And I just hope that we get more competition in the LMS, and I'm happy to see them at least making
exactly.
semis.
They stepped up and performed here on the international level. They have an entire summer split to go back and figure out some of those issues. Now, in the latest fight for the finals, we have to look at one player in specific, the man who led CLG to a victory. Aframu had a huge day, setting up his team for victory and claiming our player of the series honors.
And I said it during the final game, he actually might be the best player in North America right now because Aframu has shown against world-class opponents like Wolf, Mata, and now Sword Art that he is just all class when it comes to every stage of the game.
Yeah, and Aframu is actually dictating the meta as we come towards MSI, right? Like, it's not the Trundle, Alistair, Braum triumvirate that we thought it was going to be coming in. Look at the champions who played this series, right? Like Bard, Soda, Janna.
With Soraka
was banned with plenty of Bard bans. So really interested to see how that matchup goes against SKT's bottom lane tomorrow. Xmithy was also a tremendous performer as well, but you just got to take your hat off to Aframu with the series he had.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. I know that you sing high praises for Xmithy now, and as the gentleman over there mentioned, he should not be overlooked in this scenario, but specifically in today's games, being able to pull out that Sona and make some very clutch plays to turn around a 5K deficit at 20 minutes. That's why it's got to go to Aframu.
Yeah, exactly. But Xmithy in that game, to me, just showed exactly what you can do as a cerebral jungler. Like, he shows up in the right lanes, pressures situations. Sure, some of the skill shots might miss, but his general mindset behind the game is perfect right now and just lends to that team mentality.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get back to this in just a minute, but right now we've got Shock standing by with a few members of our newest MSI finalists, so let's head downstairs for a word.
Thank you very much, Dash, player of the series, Aframu, and Xmithy as well, who was very close to being players of the series. Aframu, I've been talking to you a lot throughout this, so I just want to go to you first. First feelings after getting to the finals here at MSI and beating the Flash Wolves.
I'm not that excited. It was a good series, I would say, but we got to play SKT tomorrow, so I'm just in that mode still until after the finals. But I'm happy that we get to meet SKT in the finals. First time for CLG, I would say, in never. And yeah.
Hey, you have beat them before, Xmithy. Do you have more of a kind of relief feeling that with all this, you have put on a great performance already, even though you have that hard competitor tomorrow? Reaching the semifinals is a fantastic, fantastic performance on its own. The finals, excuse me.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into SKT for tomorrow. They've been playing really, really well, actually. They beat RNG in a really dominating fashion. But I think if we just play as a team, like, we're still maybe way better than them.
All right, we got to talk a little bit about the series. I mean, it's been a whole theme throughout MSI, the supports, the range supports, and then you pull out the Sona of all champions, do it again. Talk to me about the reasoning behind it, because it seemed to work well enough to do it twice.
Well, Soraka and Bard were banned that series, and Sword Art wanted to play Karma in the latter half of the series. So after our second game on Janna, wasn't really a good blind pick that game, and then he started picking Karma after, so I needed to come up with a counter pick. And Sona was it, since Sona brings Engage. Didn't really want to play Braum. I didn't really think it was good into their comps because they play like more pokey stuff, and Braum usually gets shut down by that, even though he can block some of it. But Sona has sustain, and I thought that Sona, even though she's not really a popular pick, still has the Engage for later on in the game, and especially when teams pick Kindred, you can just one-shot her off of that.
Well, it's the first time we'd seen it from you since Spring Playoffs 2013, so it was definitely a surprise for the Flash Wolves as well. Talk to me through the feeling throughout the series, because you guys dropped Game 2 and then came into Game 4 maybe a little overconfident at times. What was the general feeling of what you guys should have done a bit better?
In the continuing games after like Game 1, I don't think it was overconfidence that made us play like that. I think we just came like, I guess, underprepared on the early game. We didn't really, or I mostly didn't really predict where their jungler was, or didn't really talk about it. So that's how Karsa really got an advantage early game. And thankfully my team, like, we try to play together, and usually advantage don't really show if you're playing like a 5v5 team fight and like everyone's like equal.
In the end, you guys did it. Let's talk about the momentum surrounding the tournament. In the first interviews, it was all about showing that NA is a good region, getting that #1 seed, and that is all already delivered now. You guys have put on the best performance of an NA team at a Riot International event since the beginning of time, and all you have to do is beat SKT, Aframu. I know you're very realistic into going into that one, but how big is the hunger? Imagine if you could just stand over there and lift that trophy and take it back home.
Well, I don't think too far into the future like that. Maybe in the game when I plan stuff out, but playing against SKT is a feat in and of itself. And since SKT, two-time world champion, coming into MSI, they lost last time at MSI, I'm pretty sure they're going to be super hungry to get this win under their belt. And it just so happens that CLG is going to be the one to trump them.
All right. Well, earlier we talked to Koma, and I asked him the question, and I said that your motto was have respect for your enemies, don't fear them. He said, well, tomorrow I will let them have fear and experience fear throughout their entire mind and body. So SKT is ready to fight you guys as well. Final thoughts on what you've shown here already and what you're going to show tomorrow, Xmithy?
Well, yeah, we already played them. Haven't really...
You won? Once?
Yeah, we played them twice. So, like, they don't really instill fear on us, since like I don't think the way they play is really aggressive. And we also have the better team fighting and rotation. So.
All right, we will see what happens. Anything final before the final to say to your fans and the new CLG fans, undoubtedly, that you've gained as well?
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that series. Appreciate anyone who supports us, and we're here to look even better in the finals.
Looking forward to it. We will see what happens. They are not overconfident at all going into the finals, but they're going to give us a good show. Guys, take it away. CLG versus SKT tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Shocks. A lot of confidence coming out of those two gentlemen looking ahead to tomorrow's series against SKT.
And I agree with one part of what they were saying, and that is actually their team fight decisiveness, in my opinion at least, is a little bit better. I mean, we saw some flanks where they were just able to like pull the button and go straight away, and we saw there in the group stage when SKT weren't playing good League of Legends, that caught them off guard a little bit. Do I think that is enough to win them the series? Definitely not. Like, please do not quote me on that. But they should be confident in how they play out team fights, because they're a well-oiled machine.
And I love the confidence, right? So much of these series and best of fives do come down to your mentality before the series and also during the series. Like, we saw RNG get systematically destroyed in that series. And then when CLG dropped a game to Flash Wolves, they were able to bounce back. And I think it's because they have that deep-rooted confidence that they're going to be able to win. Because we do the analysis, we know the history of SKT. SKT's a huge favorite.
Right.
But you're not going to come into it and be like, yeah, they're better than us. No one's going to say that if you have the attitude.
Well, you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't be walking in saying that. That's for sure. Clement, thoughts on what Aframoon and Xmithy were throwing out there during the interview in terms of looking ahead to tomorrow?
I just hope tomorrow they give us some good games and the crowd isn't as silent as it was on the first day of semifinals. Like, it was a church, a library. At least this time make it like a night market or something. Give us some good plays, some throwdowns here and there.
Some really loud night markets. It depends. Is there music playing? Is there a band?
Yeah, exactly. Some salsa dancing in the street while some crazy man is yelling at you on the sidewalk. Anyway, we'll see how the
No 3-0, please.
Counterlogic Gaming fares against reigning world champions SKT when they go head-to-head in the 2016 MSI Finals. Now remember, this is the second seed versus the fourth seed here So we've got a lot to break down here. We've already touched a little bit. Spawn, you think that maybe CLG has SKT in one area, but in all others, SKT would probably largely be considered the favorite in this matchup, even though they're coming in as a 4th seed.
The biggest thing about SKT is you give them a 5,000 gold advantage at any stage of the game, they will win the game. Like, they are very good at systematically shutting you out. And I think that's actually what frustrated a young RNG lineup as the series progressed, is that they just couldn't get their foot back in, whereas Flash Wolves gave a couple of opportunities for that today. So I think that what Xmithy was talking about is actually really important. Go away, look at jungle pathing. Like, you have to be able to counter game very effectively against this SKT lineup.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what the side selection is going to be coming into this game, because CLG's picked blue side for every game and SKT's picked red side for every game. But at the same time, now that you've had the ability to scout a few of their pick bans from there, do you want to switch it up? CLG's shown they play a lot of different champions.
Yeah, and of course we have to remind everybody that because CLG is the 2nd seed, they will be getting the priority in side selection on games 1, 3, and 5, SKT on games 2 and 4. And interestingly enough, the 2 teams that have gotten here, one is the team that chose blue on their 3 sides, and SKT, the team that chose red. So I'm also with you in curiosity in terms of Faker. Does he want those counter picks? How will he use them against Huhi? Now, having had that information, will CLG be comfortable blind picking into the likes of Faker, of all people? Clement, thoughts there?
Is there actually a counter pick for Ryze? Because I haven't really seen it yet. Like, it's just first pick Ryze and win the series.
Well, that goes back to your point. Ryze is a priority in this series against
It was a priority, and I think it's Huhi's best champion. I think SKT will leave it open and give it a crack. I reckon we're going to see a Cassiopeia into Ryze matchup tomorrow, and I think the Faker, if he is in anywhere near form that he was, because he took down Xiao, who in my opinion is one of the up-and-coming mid laners in the world, he's going to look to break down Huhi quite extensively in that mid lane.
At the very least, I do think CLG's maybe even going to pick red side for their 3rd game, just to make sure they get a chance. In case Faker is just overpowering with his counter picks. I think you have to give him that much of respect, not fear, but respect that he's going to have one of those lined up. And I do think they'll give a shot for a first pick Ryze and get something better on the back rotation.
All right, well, there you have it there. Want to look at a few other things. The support pool. We have the Sona, Bard, and the Soraka, as well as Janna, right? These 4 range supports that Aframu has shown he's now willing to play. The big difference for me, though, is the fact that SKT has shown success on Soraka, whereas Flash Wolves did not today. And so perhaps SKT willing to take that away with a little bit more confidence than Flash Wolves was.
And let's get one thing straight. It didn't suit Sorta because he has to be the member going forward. That's why he looked better on the Karma. However, Wolf is all about kiting backwards and saving his AD carry. So I think that it is a much better pick for SKT than it was for Flash Wolves. And CLG will afford it respect because Afro thinks it's the best support in the game.
And SKT was able to pick Soraka and still have really good initiation in fights because they control vision so well, and Bang is such a better Sivir than NL is. Right? I think you can get range support plus Sivir, still force fights, and I think it just works a lot better for SKT for those reasons.
I think if Flash Wolves if SKT gets the Flash Wolves comp they got today, they probably win.
All right,
they play those a lot better.
Now let's zone in on some matchups. When we've spoken about the Huhi Faker matchup, that one's out of the way. Let's look at Darshan versus Duke, because I know we had some questions around Darshan's play today. Seemed a little off kilter in a few different areas. So thoughts there, how he might match up against the likes of Duke?
For me, I think Duke plays the lane a little bit better, but his teleport has some hesitations. We've seen it around Baron plays. He comes in 1 or 2 seconds late. He's not really like the Marin guy who's calling the shots. He's maybe listening to the shots a little bit more. I think Darshan actually showed a little bit sharper if he survives the lane.
Yeah, that's a big thing to me.
Nailed it.
I don't know whether the laning phase is survivable, though, because Duke is really good with the lead, and it's something that he was able to get, in my opinion, against much better laners than Darshan in the LCK finals. So that's just something that you have to really worry about. I mean, he was going toe-to-toe with Looper as well yesterday, who's no slouch. So I think that's another area they're going to look at because it's exploitable.
Exactly, because we have to keep in mind Darshan is playing his way into this meta.
Right.
He's picked up later than anyone else did, and I'm very impressed that he's been able to get to this point, but I agree, his laning phase isn't perfect yet, and Duke's is much closer to perfection, so it's going to be tough.
Well then, Jad, talk to me about some of the players that might influence the top lane in Xmithy versus Blank. We have called out Blank for being a weakness in this tournament for SKT, whereas Xmithy becoming a rising star, at least within the context of CLG as a team.
Yeah, that's the one place where you have to hope to get Blank a little bit on tilt. right? He's had some great games and he's had some pretty poor games, and they've shied away from the Nidalee, whereas Xmithie was able to pick it early there. So if CLG is going to tilt that matchup in their favor, maybe they actually prioritize Nidalee right there and try and get ahead of Blank so they can control the river and control the mid and top lane.
All right, well, there's the early game pressure perhaps coming out of the jungle for them. Then, of course, we look at the bottom lane. Stixxay has been a solid performer for CLG this tournament. A lot of the pro players themselves are saying he's the best AD carry here. Afromu, we're singing his praises as well. However, if Wolf plays like he did in the semifinals, where he significantly stepped up from the group stages, that could be a very even lane.
Yeah, but I think you have to consider the mentality about the two teams when they think about the bot lane. For CLG, they want to win the bot lane. They pick to win the bot lane. But when we were talking to Bang, he says that we pick for the comp. The bot lane, if we lose it, it's okay. And I think one thing that SKT's bot lane does better than anyone else's is they can carry a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They just don't fold to the weight. They keep their turret there and they keep on pushing.
But one thing to look at there is that they also play for team fights a lot on CLG's lineup. I mean, I would say that RNG is a team that plays to win bottom lane, because if they don't, then it's a failure, whereas Stixxay and Afro still come out even and are able to team fight well. They're not going to overreach in the same fashion that RNG did, because that gave SKT a huge way into every single game. I mean, they were camping out that lane and like punishing the over-aggressive picks of Mata. So I think that, you know, Stixxay and Afro, this is one of the lanes that they'll be happy to go even with, especially if they get something like a Janna Caitlyn again and they're able to take over late game team fighting.
So either way, I just want to clarify, you guys are cool if I classify this as a David and Goliath story.
I thought you had something else lined up.
Yeah,
it wasn't David and Goliath. Cinderella versus the Terminator?
Yeah, Cinderella versus the Terminator.
I think is what you wanted to call it. Why'd you back down at the last second?
Because, you know, I felt like the reference would fall on.
You saw Terminator Genesis at the hotel room on HBO.
That's what it was.
This movie was terrible. I'm not making that reference
anymore.
anymore.
No, I lost all faith in that franchise.
To go back to your original question, yes, I am very glad
thank you very
to
much,
do that.
Spot. All right,
that is the matchup. You were correct.
Yes, the odds may be stacked against CLG tomorrow, but that title fight will be coming your way tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. local time. That's 7:30 a.m. for those of you in Central Europe, and 10:30 p.m. Saturday night for those folks in Pacific Daylight Time. That's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you all back here tomorrow for another day, the final day of MSI 2016. Thank you and good night.
We're getting into the semifinals now. Flash Wolves versus CounterLogic Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the Rift. Whoa! And now over the wall, tries to heal himself up and stay alive. Flash is back. He's already taken down Afromu, and it's the who he teleported. Rashawn deep under the turret. Chrono Break is there, but it's not necessary just yet. As they continue to close in on kills, they continue to sing the praises of their teammate. Coming out strong in the beginning of this game, 31 minutes in against Flash Wolves with quite the composition from both teams out of Champion Select. Xmithie could actually go down here. Lamb's Respite is up. They're gonna. Oh! It's a retribution kill back and forth.
Nice, 死掉，死掉。
艾克快死了，艾克没大没闪，艾克没大没闪。
妈的，可以。我看他做，我看他做，我看他做。
升他而已。
God, I'm playing with my emotions. They're tugging on my heartstrings. And yes, we do have a series. GG to the LMS Flash Wolves. Darshan's in with a parallel convergence on the Karsa.
Oh, so
Lamb's
close.
Respite goes down. Who's the first kill and who gets out alive?
Goes here.
Yeah,
can I
am I flash ulti? Ready?
Okay.
I'm ready. I got bears. I'm a kid. Get it.
Yeah.
Give me go.
Good shit.
Oh, where's the respite? It's not happening this time. That's the nail in the coffin for CounterLogic Gaming. MMD right through the upright. Flash Wolves still have a chance to keep themselves in and the LMS region, and it's going to have to happen in this game. We are on the Rift for Game 4. He's gonna have to flash forward and power chord this. He's gonna take one turret shot. He's dead. He gets it. Afromu's gonna go down valiantly for first blood. This is gonna be a go for broke. Flash Wolves looking to put everything on the table. Who he is the man under the Nexus turrets, and he will get shut down. SK Telecom T1 will face CounterLogic Gaming at the mid-season Invitational Finals for both teams to get their first chance at the championship win tomorrow.